We said it was going to happen. Now it has. Donald Trump has the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, indicted on bogus charges. Here it is.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost. The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties. His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me and replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law, but to the president is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country.
Agreed. I'm going to give the background to this. The bedrock principles to this nation are still rooted in this DNA, unfortunately, which is in corruption. The idea that you can own another human being. We can nurture beyond the nature, and that's where we come in by providing light to this level of darkness happening in the nation. The New York Attorney General, Letitia James, has now been indicted on charges of alleged fraud, becoming the second political figure in a span of 2 weeks to face prosecution after Donald Trump's public demand that the Justice Department move now, he said this on Truth Social, to charge his political enemies. And they did move now. James, who successfully brought a civil fraud case against Trump last year and leads multiple lawsuits challenging his administration's policies, was indicted on federal charges, a charge of bank fraud and a charge of making false statements to a financial institution. Let's go to the newly appointed U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. We talked about her prior, Lindsay Halligan, announced the charges Thursday. James was ordered to appear in court October 24th in Virginia. Halligan was named the U.S. Attorney by Trump after Trump ousted her predecessor, Eric Sirbit, who sources say had expressed doubts internally about bringing cases against James and former FBI Director James Comey. As ABC News first reported, sources said the predecessor and other career prosecutors in Virginia determined there was no clear evidence James had knowingly committed mortgage fraud. But Trump officials nevertheless pushed the then U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia to bring criminal charges against her anyway. Quote, "It looks to me like James is very guilty of something. I don't really know," end quote. Trump said to reporters in the Oval Office in September when he confirmed he wanted the then U.S. Attorney out the job. All right, let's just back up a minute. Why is this part so important? Well, this part is important because it can become part of the court case. You have selective prosecution by way of a political issue or an axe to grind, unequal application of the law. The other dynamic, which is interesting to the statute that she's charged under, requires mens rea, that she had to know if this thing happened, she had to know that she was committing a crime and intentionally did so, because intent for that statute is required. Thus, proving intent to the prosecutors, well, that's tough on something that happened one time, and we can't prove a pattern here of some kind of enterprise. So prosecutors allege James misled the bank in order to get more favorable loan terms, specifically claiming that the property was going to be her residence. According to prosecutors, it was going to be rented out for profit. However, following a 5-month investigation and interviews with more than a dozen witnesses, federal prosecutors uncovered no clear evidence against James whatsoever, meaning nobody could say, yeah, she bought it saying she was going to do this with it, but did this with it. You don't have intent here. You can't prove malicious intent. They attempted. They sent the investigators out for months on something quite trivial for the federal government to do, and could not find the prerequisite evidence. Quote, no one is above the law. The charges as alleged in this case represent intentional, as they say, criminal acts and tremendous breaches of the public's trust. Halligan said in the statement Thursday announcing the charges, the facts, and the law in this case are clear, and we will continue following them to ensure that justice is served. End quote. Halligan last month brought an indictment against Comey on charges of making a false statement and obstruction related to his testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee in 2020, just days after Trump issued a public demand for his Justice Department to, quote, to act now to bring prosecution against Comey, James, and California Senator Adam Schiff. Last month, Trump posted a message on Truth Social. The message seemingly urged AG Pam Bundy to use the Justice Department to prosecute his political enemies, including the FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. Now it's come to light that he may have accidentally published that message to Bundy. Put it up. So it says this. It says Pam. That's the first word. Ladies and gentlemen, the man was likely writing a personal message. Okay? He starts it off with Pam. All right, let's put it back up. Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially, same old story as last time, all talk, no action, nothing is being done. What about Comey? Adam, Shifty Schiff, Letitia. They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. And we almost put in a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past, a woke rhino who was never going to do his job. That's why two of the worst Dem senators pushed him so hard. He even lied to the media and said he quit and that he had no case. No, I fired him. And there is a great case, all caps, and many lawyers and legal pundits say so. Lindsey Halligan is a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. President DJT. Okay. All right. Okay. He all for real, y'all. All right. He talks to his staff like he's posting on Twitter, or Truth Social or X, whatever it may be. He uses all caps. He lies. He tells them that he has the greatest experts. Well, they're the damn lawyers and the experts. All the lawyers have told me this, lawyers. Sorry. This is not an SNL skit, ladies and gentlemen. We are literally in the Twilight Zone. All right. So the Wall Street Journal reported this week that Trump revealing September 20th post, which expressed frustration, obviously, that progress had not been made toward indicting his political enemies, was something of an accident. Trump administration officials told the outlet that the president believed that he sent the message to Pam as he addressed her in the post, and was surprised to find out that it was publicly viewable. I'm just saying, Biden has never done anything like that. As much as people talked about his cognition, Biden has never done that. If a grown man talks to you that way via a text message, this man is what, 79 years old? The hell? All right, dear brother, thoughts?
I mean, look, we're looking at a pretty clear playbook, right? I mean, over this since the inauguration of Trump 2.0. I mean, attacks on universities, attacks on media. We just saw Bari Weiss, who is extremely strong Zionist views, now take over for CBS. We've seen legal firms bend the knee to the president. We've seen Colbert get canceled, right? That's Paramount, CBS. Kimmel, all of it. Our universities, including my own university, UCLA, is in the crosshairs right now. It's all vindictiveness and retribution, but really, ultimately, it's about creating fear.
Yeah.
It's not so much where the direct actions are going to be taken, it's the feeling that it could come to me. It's self censorship. That's part of it in this administration's attacks on free speech. But it's also about settling debts, taking, some of the ways in which potentially some aspects of the justice system were weaponized by Biden and others, dating back in the day, like the Russia stuff, which, a lot of us were asking questions about, should we go so hard on this? Are you sure about this? And now, so the Democrats do a little bit of a violation. I mean, they violated American people's rights by not standing for working and middle class people and delivering us this situation. That's what the Democratic Party did, right? And by taking out Bernie both in 2016 and in 2020, they took him out, and it's clear, right? So now we're seeing from Comey to Letitia James. These are very poor evidence cases, as you know. They're not likely to be successful, but it's showing everybody that this could happen to you. And there's a long list of enemies that are on it. And, if our last refuge is the justice system, and thanks to the Democrats' failures, again, we're 6-3 with Supreme Court justices, and maybe a couple of those justices decide to just be political rather than actually do what they're sworn to do, which is interpret the law, the judicial system, then we have a big, big issue on our hands. So I think, this indictment of Attorney General James is yet another example. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Georgia Attorney General also indicted, others as well. We've seen stuff about George Soros, other things like that, right? So this is what's setting home, and we all have to make a decision how we want to organize around this.
Yeah, well said. And we need a couple of people to grow a spine while at the White House. Can't happen. I have faith that it will.